Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting of the Greenwoods at Greenwood City Hall on this Monday, January the 4th, 2021, at approximately 7:05 p.m. Ms. Terry, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Ralph Meeker?
Here.
Daniel is absent. Tim Terry?
Here.
Lance Terry is absent. AC Brown?
Here.
Rod Powell?
Here.
Really form.
Thank you, ma'am. If you would all rise, please, we will begin our meeting this evening with our prayer led by Brother Ronnie Hill from Greenwood First Baptist Church, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance by Chief Stuart Ryan.
Would you pray with me? Lord, we thank you so much for all the many blessings you give us. Thank you for this time of the year that we're reminded of how important family and friends and our community is. Lord, thank you for the celebration that we've had of the birth of your son. Lord, I pray for this meeting tonight and for all the business that goes on in this community. Thank you for the leaders, the way they serve. Thank you for many in this community that give of their time and their effort, Lord, to make this community what it is. We just pray tonight especially for so many people that are struggling with COVID. Lord, just pray that this vaccine will do what it needs to do, that people will find relief, and Lord, we just pray for safety for all people in this community and all over the world. So Lord, we thank you for, again, your blessings in our life. We pray for this meeting tonight. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. You may be seated. At this time, I would ask that the council, if you've not already taken a few moments to take a look at the minutes of the December 8th regular council meeting, I'd ask for approval of those.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Recognitions and acknowledgements tonight. We don't have anything really formal to do other than welcome all those that are here, and we have the Honorable Judge Wagner here, who at the very last moment today, or I think today it was called to come in and swear in some gentlemen. So we thank you for being here to do that. Also, we have press here at the city. 4029 is here. Miss Jamie Weiss, I believe it is. And then, of course, Drew Smith, our regular, so thank you guys for being here. Kenny, we all know you, so. Thanks, everybody, for coming out, and we appreciate the social distancing to continue to do that for us. Actually, tonight, too, during this time, I want to thank the street department on a personal note, and from the city as a whole. I know we received several calls and acknowledgments on Facebook how nice the city looked this year from the street department guys, and of course the parks department goes without saying. You guys did a great job this year dressing up the city. We appreciate all the hard work. And if you'll get those down by tomorrow afternoon, that'd be great. I'm just kidding. It's a lot of work putting them up and a lot of work taking them down. Y'all did a really good job. Appreciate you. Committee reports. Boys and Girls Club. I believe they're written, or is there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in our app.
In the packet or on the bed. Okay. Kenny's here if anybody's got any questions for him at this time, or if you want later. Kenny, do you have anything to report?
I have none.
Okay.
No, I'm just here.
All right. SRCA, I know Lisa's not here. Parks Commission, see Mr. Otis, not Mr. Joel. No report? Okay. Water, wastewater, Mr. Bailey's not here this evening. Again, as always, if you have any questions or concerns with these committees or commissions, let me know through Danielle, and we will get your questions answered. I'm going to pause at this time. I should have done it a while ago. Sorry, Judge. I was going to do this quicker, but so you don't have to spend the night here.
No, you're good.
But if you're okay to do it now, we'll have you come up this. And again, this is the Honorable Judge Wagner. Appreciate you coming tonight, and he's going to swear in Councilman Rod Powell, Councilman Ralph Meeker, and Councilman Tim Terry. So I'll let him take over.
Thank you, I appreciate the opportunity, and of course, everybody knows when, in this room, that when you run for public office, you kind of just throw yourself out there, and you're kind of an open book to everybody, and really, I personally look up to folks like that are willing to do that, and Mary, you'll have to remind me which 3 council people will be getting sworn in, so
We've got Councilman Rob Dow,
all right.
Councilman Tim Terry, and Councilman Ralph Meeker.
All right, we can do this real quick. If y'all want to just meet me in the center and then knock it out all at once, or we can do it one at a time, or however.
Short form? I like a short.
All right, each of you raise your right hand. Each of you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, support the Constitution of the State of Arkansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of Greenwood City Councilman upon which you are about to enter. Congratulations. I'll leave you.
You know, sign.
Well, I've signed them all, the others get to sign them.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Appreciate
you
you.
very much. Thank you. I guess we're supposed to start chanting 4 more years now. Is this- Are we? Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you. I can't even talk now. That was pretty good. That's all. Okay, we have, now's the time in our agenda for citizen forum. No one had signed up this evening, so I'm assuming no one is needing to speak. And if you are, we can do that real quick. I think we're all a regular bunch here, so we'll move on to our financial report. Mr. Marsh.
Okay, what I wanted to point out to you is this is year end, and we are in the process of doing our year end close, so the financial report that I gave you is kind of preliminary until we get all of the numbers in and processed. So I do want to point out to you a couple of highlights, and that is that the city sales and use tax ended the year at 16.1% above same year last year for the city. It does cause a little bit of a quandary in how to propose a budget for 2021 as far as projecting revenues. Right now, we're looking at about a 10% growth year for next year. However, we may be a little more aggressive on that now that I've seen the trend over the last several months sustain itself and maintain. One of the things that I also wanted to point out was the county sales tax. That is up this year over last year. We are up 5.5%. Usually we're only up about 1.5%. That's a normal growth for us. If you were to look at the chart, the graph that I gave you for the county sales tax, you would notice that the July period is where the county sales tax actually took off and exploded as far as the growth. The pattern started in July. It lagged a little bit behind the city sales and use tax. However, it did sustain itself at a very high rate, which you'll notice just for the 7-month period, or the period July all the way through December, the growth was 8.9% just for that period. That contributed to our overall growth of 5.54%. So we are in the process of modifying the budgets that haven't been approved yet to reflect a flat growth in county sales tax. We're going to actually budget it at the 5.54% year level. That's going to be a significant factor in the funds available to the operating departments under the general budget. So we made that decision today. There's still a little bit more that we have to discuss and things that I want to present when you all decide what date we want to have another budget study session on the general funds, where I'll go into much more detail about what each of the departments' expenses are and how they're operating. You'll also notice that for the year, as far as the funds are concerned, we are right now, all funds, we're at $13,366,000. That's all city funds, all departments, and that's a budget variance favorable of $3.5 million. A lot of that had to do with the slowdown that we did as far as only doing critical needs as far as spending is concerned for the current year, for our 2020 year. And that had a lot to do with, there was an unknown factor, as you've heard about in all the budget study sessions. A lot of that is being carried over into the budget to be spent in 2021. And you saw that in most of the budgets that we actually reviewed so far. As far as our cash flow is concerned, it's favorable for the year, $1.5 million. You'll see that again as far as the next budget study session. I'll go into much more detail. But the good news is the rate of increase that we've experienced as far as city sales and use tax is phenomenal. I was looking back historically. You would have had to have gone back at least 10 years to find something that was relatively healthy, nothing to the extent of 16.1%. And as far as the county sales tax is concerned, you're looking at probably going all the way back to 2011 before, which was an anomaly period, before you would find something even close to that 5.5% growth for county tax is concerned. And the last thing I handed out, I put in each of your package, was a revised A&P tax collection. And you'll notice for the advertising and promotion, the growth for actual this year over actual last year was 12.21%. That also is very, very healthy. And if you look at the graph, you'll see the bell curve start rising right at the period of the COVID-19 closures. You'll see a lot of our fast food restaurants, a lot of the people that have adapted as far as restaurants is concerned, fared very well, and the A&P fared very well during that period of time. It has subsequently returned to more of a normal pattern, as I say, but it's still a healthy growth. So we're looking at about budgeting an 8% growth, not the 12.21%, which was influenced significantly between the months of March and July. We figure that that's what the restaurants right now are experiencing themselves in the last several months. So they've agreed to look at a growth projection in revenue of about 8%. And consider when we go through the forum coming up with a potential date for our budget study session. Has to be fairly soon so I can roll in any of the numbers into the budgets so that we can do another session to finalize and approve it.
Is that something the council would like to consider now while we're kind of on the subject? Kind of get it nailed down? What's good for you?
Well, I'm ready. It can be any day that you want to sit down and go through, hash out these numbers.
How about next Tuesday?
I think that's a fire meeting.
Oh, okay. How about this Thursday?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Strike two.
What about next Monday?
I'm good next Monday.
You know what you're not doing is mentioning food and what kind. Because you keep getting those there.
Or even Wednesday night this week?
Wednesday, that's what time being
National check.
We can do it quick.
Wednesday would be good?
Oh, it's the national championship game.
That's what, you said that to do it quick. You're out of
I
town.
have no, on the 11th, you're out of town?
No, Wednesday.
Oh, this week's not good for you. So next Monday night, maybe?
I'll be late.
It's not going to be a quick one because you're going to be looking at the general budget and all departments that roll up to it, which there's 6 of them.
Which have changed or will have changed a little bit by then. Not drastically, but. So.
We also are going to be showing you the impact of the COLA and how that influences and max, and you're going to be discussing the rate schedules, the salary schedules. All that's going to be discussed. So it's not going to be a quick meeting.
Would you like next Monday or next Wednesday?
Well, that would be on next Monday.
First.
Okay, Wednesday.
What day, what is it?
The 13th.
13th.
Yeah.
Wednesday, okay?
I'm good next Wednesday.
6 o'clock or 5 o'clock?
I'm here.
I mean, the earlier the better, because it's gonna take a long time.
I'd say really 6, I mean, be there.
Probably hard. You guys, I don't know, 6?
I'll be,
Wednesday night, 6 to 13th, then, study session.
it'll be a happy birthday present to Lance, that's his birthday.
He'll be excited. We'll do a cupcake.
He'll be 51 years old.
Really? Thanks for sharing that.
How come that min-max going on the next budget?
It is, it's what it is, because of those job descriptors, not job descriptions, a couple of the jobs that were not on there originally, that's what's, we're bringing back to you to get those approved. It's not necessarily the whole number part of it, it's just adding some jobs in there that we're not,
To
we're not
specific
on.
departments.
Right.
I mean, that's something we can discuss tonight, not wait for the budget meeting. We couldn't vote for the budget meeting for that.
Well, that's not changing, doing anything on the impact of COLA or any of that. That's
that's
just
just-
adding
Yeah, that,
functions to each department that didn't have them before. Like a mechanic to a department and a receptionist to a department.
We talked about adjusting the min-max, so some people were already outside the min-max.
We're gonna be doing that at the budget study session.
Yeah.
So you'll see, you won't be voting on it until the final, but you're gonna give me the direction as to, because I'm gonna be able to show you the numbers. I'm gonna show you how it impacts the budget. And
The
you'll see how
document-
it rolls up.
the document tonight does not reflect
The
that.
document
All it
tonight is not.
does is there's a top job title, how many, 2,
So,
3, or 4?
Yeah, I've only had, we had to adjust minimum wage because it's on that.
Right, right.
That's
The ones that are no-brainer.
Money wise change.
We have to do by law. We did that on here, but the total document is not changed for any kind of consideration for COLA or anything like that. Am I right?
yes, and it's non-controversial.
I mean,
I
so
like
you,
that.
this document,
This one.
without the numbers. Yeah, without the numbers.
I think probably just speed up our budget meeting, if we go ahead and knock this out tonight, adjust all our min-max, but if we can't get this.
I-
I don't know if you can really make that decision without seeing the numbers.
I think Tom's point, he speaks for himself.
I'd like to see
Those
the
numbers will
numbers.
affect the
I'd like to
overall
see the
budget.
numbers.
Well, just 1.5% more to take off.
But that would be up to you if you want to deal with whatever.
I don't know. Kevin else do that now.
So we are on for the
Yes.
13th, Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Sounds like for
I
study
love it
session.
here, I'd stay all night.
Okay. Right?
I have.
No. Okay. Thanks, sir. Any other questions for Mr. Marsh? Okay, agenda additions? None.
Was that min-max on the bill?
Would you like to add that? Old business, there is none. New business, first item on the agenda is a resolution adopting procedural rules. As far as I know, that's not changed since year one. I don't know.
Well, it's changed.
Well,
We changed it.
there's been things, I guess.
There's no changes from last year.
But no changes from last year, right?
So Ralph, I don't know if you were here this time last year.
Yeah.
Okay. This is your time when you object to how the meetings are handled.
Oh,
This is your time. You can fix it.
Is there something broken other than long?
Works for me. Amazing.
interesting.
It's a some kind of code.
Yeah, what's in here? What's going on? Tell us the whole story. Good. Well, the word brief comes behind the city clerk treasurer, not the mayor, so, right? That's right. That's right.
I'll make a motion, we pass this resolution.
I'll take it.
We have a motion and a second to pass the resolution.
Mr. Maker?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Thank you. Second on the agenda, new business is the street department resolution amending resolution number, I can't read for some reason,
The salary schedule.
the salary
But
schedule.
this has been amended once more since y'all received your packet, so you have the most current version. Danielle can answer your questions.
Yeah, I think one of them came to our attention this morning in the department head meeting that we left off. So. Are they highlighted? I know mine's dark.
Yeah, they're highlighted.
So the ones that are highlighted are the ones that were, have been left off, as in that position didn't necessarily exist.
Well, the highlighted are all the changes.
Or never never got to receive the title, I guess.
Because some are highlighted, they're just adjusting because of the minimum wage went up to $11 an hour.
Right.
So we have to raise the minimum to at least $11 an hour.
I'll make a motion to pass this resolution.
Second?
The motion is second to pass the resolution.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is number 3, Finance Department, resolution accepting and appropriating CARES Act grant awards.
Oh, we're on. Huh?
You're on, we're on.
Okay. We had an opportunity to apply for the CARES Act grant, had to do with COVID, as far as the expenses that the city incurs and incurred. And we, through numerous online submissions of data that was sent to achieve this grant, that we were awarded the grant to a tune of $354,658.07. Most of that coming from expenses that were related to COVID as far as departmental expenses were concerned. The money has been deposited. It is in our general fund. It is unrestricted as far as that's concerned. The money was earmarked for, to help defray the city the cost of expenses related to public health emergency. And we're very glad that we were able to satisfy the documentation requirements and forward the information on to get it. What we're asking for here is just to recognize that and accept the grant so that I can adjust the budget for 2020. That's part of why the budget, the financials aren't done yet, because we want to go back and modify account 41,900 grant money received to reflect receiving this money. And there's also, let Charlotte talk about it, it is the A&P CARES Act monies as well that she filed for. And you want to talk about that?
Well, Arkansas Tourism reached out to me and said that there's some grant money available for different things you can claim as CARES Act. And so we had that, we had awarded a grant to the Chamber of Commerce mid-year or so, a little earlier than that, for reopening businesses. It was $2,000, and that's what we applied for, to just get reimbursed for that. And they awarded it. It was pretty quick and easy. Every little bit helps.
So that goes back to the restricted A&P
Correct.
fund.
Yeah.
And you're saying the $354,658 are totally non-restricted, just going into the general fund?
That's correct. It already is. It's electronically deposited to us.
Dare I ask if that's a dollar for dollar reimbursement?
It is $1 for $1.
Really?
That's awesome.
This is wonderful news. We held it back a little bit, let it
We didn't want to
go
tell you until we knew we got it.
until we got it. And Tom was diligent in flying for it. I can tell you, it's not just a flip of the button. Like, I got a call, and Charlie got a call from, and by the way, we give kudos to Arkansas Municipal League for notifying of this even being out there and available to us. So I went dancing back to Tom's office and all excited like a little giddy kid like I usually get. And he was calming me down a bit. He said, we'll see. But he he got online and did the full process and made sure that it happened for us. And as Charlotte did the exact same thing for this EMP grant. So it's a huge deal for the city of Greenwood to even be able to apply for it, much less receive it. I've not checked with all mayors around the state. I know that a lot of money's has gone out. Portsmouth has received a tremendous amount also. But this is a big
I think Municipal League and the National League of Cities lobbied for
Yeah,
this really hard.
absolutely.
So we got a lot of money because of their efforts. Got a chance to get them.
I appreciate the money being there. My compliments to the administration for y'all making sure this happens. So that's pretty awesome. The citizens of Greenwood.
Credit goes to these two on each side of me, so they worked hard on getting it done.
And I'll make a motion, we adopt the resolution accepting the funds.
Thank you.
Have a motion in 2 seconds. Accept.
Yes. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much. That is everything on the agenda. We'll move to, I can't believe it, it's 7:30-ish. We'll move to department reports and questions from council.
You spent $354,000 on COVID stuff?
Yes. Yes.
It's not mass.
It's not, yeah, this is, you want to,
Public safety.
Public safety. Let me just-
Salaries go into that.
let me just say the first comment or question to me on the phone by Mr. Wilkerson from Municipal League was, Mayor, I've got some good news for you. And then he stopped for a pause, he paused for a second, he said, you guys do have a police department, don't you? And I said, yes, sir, we do. So this is based on salaries that the police department used from X day,
Patrol.
patrol only, until, I
As well
don't
as-
have the schedule in front of me, but, and of course, since that comes from general, then it comes from there, so we decided that that's where it needs to be put back, so. Yeah,
This
that's it.
is thing to stay around a while.
Sir?
We need this pandemic to stay around.
No,
That is not news.
Here.
But, yes, we've done well. I mean, Greenwood has been blessed through, and you saw A&P, we have been blessed. I don't know how else to put it during this time, where other communities have not. I reported back to you a few months ago that I got a call and had the opportunity to be on a call with many cities in the state of Arkansas all at once, and they all have been hit hard by their sales tax revenue, because of the COVID, and I felt kind of guilty even being on the phone. And, we've been very blessed.
Minus losing some residents, of course.
Sir?
I said minus losing some
Absolutely,
residents.
absolutely. I mean, it's yes, and we still are, and there are still a lot of sick folk, and that's part of my ending speech this evening, making sure that we remember all those folks that are still afflicted by this disease. But, yeah, never want to see anything like it again. We've been very fortunate. Again, department heads are here, most of them. I think Tim's out, Greg's out. We do have some folks out due to COVID. Greg's wife is quarantined, therefore he is. I think that's all we've got right now.
we have an employee who has a loss in the family.
That's what?
An employee with a loss in the family.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Yes, Tyler, our new parks employee's father passed away this morning.
Very
unexpectedly.
unexpectedly.
Yep.
Parks guy passed away?
His dad,
Okay.
his father. Tyler
Coinage.
Konechki, something like that.
Coinage.
Yeah, his dad.
What department's in charge of the sidewalk? Is that just you?
The new sidewalk, streets, it's all about Dennis.
I would like
Dennis's
to call
fault.
it the new sidewalk, because that would imply that there's
That there
actually
is
something
one,
there that's new.
I understand. Dennis is not, we're all in charge. We all take part. Danielle has worked, as I said last month, very diligently trying to get these easements signed off on. We are no farther now than we were last month. Of course, people were on vacation and there was a lot going on. I plan on, and Sonny's obviously been on it. Dennis volunteered and is there when we need him, but we're gonna get back on that this week, and probably be visiting with Mr. Hamby some of the issues and see if we need to go legal to get some of this stuff taken care of, because it doesn't seem like it's going any other direction. I think we're 8 short before we can begin.
The engineering's done,
Oh, absolutely.
the money's available still, we're
Yes.
not in jeopardy of running out.
We are
The
guaranteed
engineering's
that
done, the money's available.
we're literally waiting on those easements.
You got 8 problems to deal with.
Correct. Yep.
Plus, Rod, we have been approved for phase 2.
Yeah, I think I announced that like phase 2.
It made me feel a lot better if we were moving forward to phase 1.
Me too.
All of us, believe me, kind of sickens me.
So as, can we go ahead and start trying to accumulate easements on phase 2? And
I haven't got that answer yet. We called in or emailed before the holidays to see if that's possible. I haven't heard back. We can get back on
the
it.
engineering is not started on phase 2.
No.
No.
Has the engineering?
We have it
Has the engineering been paid for on phase 1?
still being paid for, right? Now, when you say who's involved, the funding is that, for that engineering coming out of the street department.
And that engineer's Jeremy Shores?
Correct.
How much have we spent today?
It's a Tom question.
Just on that sidewalk engineering?
Well, it's coming out of the sidewalk, it should be in the financials, on the sidewalk.
I would like to think that we'll be able to start on gaining those easements on phase 2. I don't know why that would have any effect on the construction or lack of construction, I guess I should say, on phase 1, but we're waiting to hear back from.
Just in 2020 so
Yeah,
far,
thank you.
$24,000.
So we've spent 24,000 to this point? What,
That's not part of the grant, though.
that's not part of the grant, that's all on us.
Right.
We budgeted that.
And the new grant got a little more specific, I think, with the engineering. I can't remember now, I don't have it in front of me either, but when we received our official letter, it gave some details on what they, and I guess it's the same. I guess there's no difference in phase 1 or 2 as far as the engineering.
When we get the 8 problems taken care of, then the whole thing will be put out for bid
By the highway department.
by the highway department. Will it be, and it'll be overseen by the highway
Correct.
department?
Correct.
Well, I know when they oversaw Denver, I know what happened. That thing got pulled out 3 times, and there's a pyramid of old sidewalks out there, so they did it right.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't mess around, I think.
Don't mess around.
This was still is a thorn in my side. I tried to let it go when I went to Colorado for the week. It's still a thorn, and it'll remain one until we get it taken care of.
Well, there's, you see people every day trying to walk on the shoulder of the road with cars passing by 50 miles an hour.
And to know that anything can happen at any moment.
Any moment.
and we
You wouldn't
can-
believe some of the excuses that they've come up with on why they don't want to sign the easement from, I don't want to participate to, what's in it for me, how much are y'all going to pay for a portion of grass that is 6 foot long by, for example, in front of, and I'll say it, Taco Bell. The little grass barriers there, we've got to go across there. They want us to pay them for it. We've got a resident along the corridor that will not return calls. Danielle's talked to them a couple of times, and they, same thing. What are you going to pay us for this? We've got business owners that this sidewalk will help them out tremendously and increase their property values, but they want us to pay them for it. We have a church that won't give us the time of day. Well, those are the kind of things that we're all up against. Some of them are corporate offices that are in California and places like that we're having to deal with. But some of them are local citizens, and that's the ones that really aggravate me, because they know what we're up against. They know that we've had fatalities on the street, and yet they want us to pay them to increase the value of their property or increase their foot traffic for their businesses. Now,
out of those 8, the rest of them freely gave us the easements. You know, it got, again, a lot of it had to do with Danielle getting in touch with the right people at the right time. And then we had to go back to them, and because they had sent us the duplicate copy, we had to go back and get the original copies and things like that. But those people have worked with us steadily. So we have 8 that we're down to the wire that I'd like to train.
Mr. Hamby, what's your suggestion on, I mean, we just come visit with you?
Sure, come visit with me, we'll go over the program individually.
Okay. Can we do that
Now.
now? Next week, this week?
I got my calendar.
Okay. I mean, I'd like to get,
There's no issue as far, this is way out in left field, it's kind of a Rod Powell question. With the green space at Taco Bell, commercial guideline, green space, if we take out that little grass, I'm sure we complained when they built the thing that we needed some green space in there, now we're going to go there and have to take.
Not really, none of this is affecting that, Tim. Again, a lot of it is just asphalt that we have to maintain an easement, so we have to have that legal document, and it might not get into their green space.
Yes.
Some of it is, you know, for example, one is in the state right of way. But we still have to have that legal document so that the state can go in there and build the sidewalk. They have to have a construction easement.
yeah, every one of these have construction easements.
And so when we contact the property owner, they say, I don't think so. And you go, what? And we actually had one of them to say, well, what's it gonna look like? And so I got pictures of a sidewalk and sent it to them. You know, it's 5 foot wide, it's gray, it's, you know, it's made out of concrete, and it's gonna go from here to here. What else do you need?
And one would think, and one would understand, I mean, a lot of this stuff is, there's more driveways there than there is grass. And I think we talked about last month, you know, what would be the harm of, and I haven't really got the official answer, but I think I know what it is, that you can't get it started until you get them all. Because as you know, and just because we build a sidewalk does not mean everybody will be on the sidewalk. There's still no forcing anybody to be on it, but at least we're making it available. And you think walking along and you stop or you pause and you go through their parking lot instead of being on a sidewalk, what's the harm in that? But I think and I say I think now, but I'll know next time we talk about it, is that you can't, it's not technically a sidewalk, so you're allowing them to walk in traffic, look like, as he said, without the protection of that easement. So, what do you think, sir?
I have Thursday at 3:30.
Sign me up.
We'll be there.
This Thursday, the 7th at 3:30?
Yes.
We'll be there. You can come on down, whatever room you got, right?
I'm on
Actually, I
that.
think there's some FOIA violations.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What's on the menu?
One of them.
Yeah, that's called council. Okay. That answer your,
I like the fact that y'all got a meeting scheduled, and that was a good answer to the question.
I think it's gonna, I hate that it takes that, but I think it's gonna take that. I don't hate it as much for those that live in California.
I can understand California. I mean, they look at you like you're a hillbilly telemarketer.
Well, and I was informed, I actually did talk to one of the attorneys that is associated with one of these companies that is based out of California, and they said, you're just, that's just how it works out here.
What I can understand is the guy that's got a little semi-outlet mall, Bradley Oliver, who's giving you trouble, whose dad was the building inspector. And are you kidding me? And he lives here in town. And he knows the danger, and he knows that you'll be bringing people to his businesses.
You know, I kind of gained up on him, according to him. I had Sonny in the office, there was 2 of us talking to him. He's gaining up on him.
Stuart deals with him real well.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did.
I told him to talk to his lawyer.
All right.
Isn't that, don't we have a virtual meeting coming up on phase
We do.
2? Yeah.
Yeah, we have the next meeting for phase 2 that you have to, we thought we got a road trip, but we didn't because it's virtual, so we'll be meeting.
We'll have more information on phase 2 once we get through with
We
virtual.
can ask some of these questions about can we go ahead or can we not? or what, can we
Skip a place.
engineering or skip a, whatever it is?
And, you know, the phase 2 and 3, one of them goes from Golden Living on out to Walmart, and then the other one goes from Dr. Stinger's back towards the Baptist Church. My preference is to come back towards the Baptist Church because we would eliminate walking through 2 bridges. You'd be able to walk around those 2 bridges because they're going to do cantilevered sidewalks on the side, and that would give them the pedestrians the ability to walk from, you know, the Mexican restaurant all the way down to in front of Farmers where our sidewalks take up and go on to the square. That's my preference. But the other option is to go from Golden Living on out towards Walmart. So that's something we're going to.
And that's a question to be asked too, you know, 2 and 3, Jeremy's the one that he suggested that same thing to Sunny and I, and maybe just RDOT could bring it, label it 2 over here instead of 3 or something, we can come with
I have a question. So these people that it's easy, want to put a sidewalk, and they say, sure, just where do I sign? You sign it. I understand that, and that's great. But when you get to the 8, so we got 8 pieces that may be ugly, that may turn ugly. So if we gain an easement, can we gain more than a sidewalk easement? Can we go ahead and gain easement to build utilities and just a general construction easement for when we expand and run water and sewer and just get it all at one time? Or does it have to just be for the sidewalk?
It just has to be for a municipal purpose.
And that would cover everything I'm talking about. If you worded it sidewalk, then it'd just be for sidewalk, but if you worded it for municipal purposes, then that covers everything.
Right.
Well,
I
it
would
gets all the way out.
probably spell out everything in there, just so there was no doubt.
Because we may be a big turnaround back 10 years trying to widen the road, add a water line, move a water line, move a sewer
it,
line.
with the same name.
I'd just rather not deal with these people again.
Hey, if we're going this direction to do it, we might as well get what we can get, I think is what I'm hearing. I would agree with that. They're not happy about it,
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna piss them off. Let's just piss them off one time, not go back 5 years from now and piss them off again.
Since it still runs along, you know, like it's the state highway. On this last A, we can't kind of use the power of the influence of the state too. To kind of
You better hurry.
Huh?
You better hurry, because you won't be a state highway much longer.
Well, that's right. I was thinking, a lot of this, y'all trying to do that, I don't, in the domain, or just that kind of, or just use their influence with a letter from them? Is that-
Hey, Steve, that's a good question, and I think that's something, you know, that Mike could study, because, you know, the state condemns property all the time to gain access somewhere, so they, you know, they might, I'm sure they've got this down to a fine art. We just need to know what we need to do, since we've come up with these 8 people that are giving the stonewalling.
I wouldn't get my hopes up on the state.
I don't know, like I said, that's Mike's business, and so.
Well, I know it's just when we were looking at, I guess, the thing with Don Puglen about annexation, sometimes it being tied to public safety, you know, and if you say that, well, these, you know, we're really acquiring this, putting these sidewalks in, it's a matter of public safety, because we have.
There's no doubt that public safety is
people, you know, walking on the shoulder of the road, you know, and we've already had some, you know, accidents. And
like I said, there's no doubt that this public safety.
Yeah, we've expressed that numerous times to a couple of them, and they don't care.
They don't care.
We can certainly ask that question. I think it's valid to ask the question. I kind of tend to think, or I think Mr. Hamby's thinking that one, RDOT, I believe if they would have, you know, they could have just given us a grant and said, hey, here's the grant and here are the easements to go with it, and they would have just done it. Some of these easements go in and out, so not all 8 are guaranteed. Like you said, one of them for sure, the one we've been discussing, is actually in the state highway. Some of them are more over on private property, so.
They kind of meander, you know,
Yeah.
because of the terrain.
But we can ask. I mean, I would tend to think that if RDOT was willing to do that, that would have been part up front that they go, here's your grant, here's your easements.
You know, for example, from Bradley's place to the dry cleaners, you know, that drops off tremendously, and there's a residence there. And that's one of them that we have issues with. And that's going to be probably out of the state right away, and so we need the easement there.
And they don't live there, they're out of state. The rent house.
You touched on the bridge,
Yes.
so it's actually, there's going to be a part attached to the dirt bridge? Or?
Yeah, right, you know, the portion over there, the bridge that, in front of the senior citizen, you know how that's cantilevered across there? That's what they're talking about doing to the bridges by the Mexican restaurant and by the caboose. And that way somebody's walking along there, bicyclists or walkers or whatever, they don't have to wait until they see the traffic is thinning out and try to scurry across it real quick. I've done that a couple of times, and depending on which side you're on, it gets a little scary. So this way, they will be able to, you know, walk past the bridge through the little sidewalk. That's my understanding. Like I said, I haven't seen the engineering, but from the conversation, that's what I understand. They're going to do the cantilevered sidewalk.
And by the way, we will be applying for phase 3, no matter where it is.
Yeah.
Also, we don't let the heat dry on any of these before we reapply, so. Any other questions for any of the department heads?
I was gonna ask Sonny, it's not really that big a deal, but the names of the, who's doing what on your permit sheets are gone. I always like to see who's doing where. Does it matter, or is it just something you have to take off?
I don't know, Hunter. When you printed that out, do you, is there a portion on there that says who the builder is?
No, it hadn't changed. It's the same format and letterhead that Seth was.
Tim, let me check on that. It seems to me, you know, like, I agree with you. It seems, it used to have the name.
Yeah, I always like to know who's doing what.
Yeah.
Also, we need a Waffle House update.
Waffle House update, same as it was last month. I talked to the vice president of the corporation, and he assured me that they would reconvene the building in February, and that we would be eating waffles by May.
Sidewalk easement?
Do I?
You get the sidewalk easement?
Yeah. Yeah, on that side. On that side, we're in pretty good shape, except for the church, I think. Danielle, is that right?
I believe so. And Arby's.
And Arby's, okay, those two.
The only other question I had was for streets. Dennis removed at Grand Pine Drive some bamboo and privet. What's privet?
It's a little basic plant.
I actually read these. I actually read all these. People make me look. Privet caught my eye. I gotta know what privet is. It's kind of like trichloromethane.
It's an invasive.
Huh?
It's an invasive.
Chinese privet.
Non-native.
Bush.
It's
Non-native?
non-native.
What everybody puts around their house and fights it all the time.
So that pains.
I wasn't gonna do it.
It's just thick.
Everything that produces is from China.
There's a lot of tree mess. I guess my second question is, where's Grand Pine Drive?
Where is
Grand Pine Drive?
It's over by the park. Eagle Scout.
We have
Oh, Eagle Scouts. Eagles behind the,
Grandview.
Yeah.
Should know. Grand Pine. Gotcha.
Good update on bypass, traffic leak.
thank you. Not really, nothing more to report other than it's there. I mean, no, I really don't. The project is out there, I guess is what I should have said. It's not there yet for sure. All I know is they're still celebrating the extension of the fuel tax, so I think when they come down off of that, we'll probably have, I mean, that's a joke. But I've not talked to Ms. Tudor or anybody about it recently. I've asked Senator Pitch, when he gets an opportunity, when he's in Little Rock or wherever he is, to put a word in and say, hey, oh, I'm sorry, I had a little discussion with Senator Pitch, and the point was to say, we need to spend our $5 million by such date, and I got with Tom, and it's within 3 years. So the dates that were kind of being tossed around, I think I reported last time to you that I was on a conference call with Waffle, and the guest speaker was the new commissioner out of Tobacco, who I always failed to remember, Keith Gibson, and he's kind of claimed this project as his pet project. And he was just giving a report on these projects, and he mentioned Greenwood, the traffic relief project, and he referred to it as a 24, was it 24, 25, Daniel at first, when he first was speaking, and then a little bit later on, he came back to it, and he said, I'm going to try to make this a 23, 24 project. And once he left and got off the phone, I spoke to Chad Adams, who's kind of our local guy here at RDOT, kind of joking with him. I said, I think the commissioner meant 22. 23, and he said, of course, he came back and he said, well, I think he's going to try to do everything he can. But nothing official at all about anything other than us making sure that they spend, because that's part of the bond, is that money spent within 3 years. So I have a good feeling, and this is just a gut feeling. Once they start spending our money, we'll probably see something happen a little bit more significant other than just flags.
I know a lot of people ask,
Yeah.
what's not there?
Does it take them like a year to do the engineering, or?
You know, I would suspect so, and that's what we were told a couple of times when we went to Little Rock back in the early days, that it would take a year to 2 years just to engineer it. And I've not seen anything yet other than what we've all looked at, those maps, the direction of it, and or general direction. But no, you know, I get questions asked, and I'm sure you guys do too. What is it going to be on stilts? Is it going to be? Are they going to have to build that up all the way across Dr. Burgess's property? Things like that, and we really don't have those answers. I was promised very wholeheartedly that this project would happen regardless of that extension, but I've got to believe that now that extension's happening with fuel tax, it ought to go pretty well.
I know they took off with the surveying, pretty hot heavy and all of a sudden just.
Yeah, they said they finished it. They said they did all the surveying they needed to do. Now, I say that, I don't think they finished out on 10. You know, they only went all the way to 71 with some flags, but I never saw, of course, I'm not an engineer, and I don't know what all that means, but I didn't see flags to me that represented another 2 lanes and a median, if you will. I think what we saw were where the right-of-way was. And so there was much more at this direction than there was going 71 on 10. But they did some out there. But, I mean, I know that's not over yet. They got to come back and do some more. So I'll try to get something fresh soon on it and see what we can find out. I'm anxious. We're all anxious for that, for sure. Kind of just hurry up and wait. Yes, sir.
Just seeing on the water wastewater report that the boring under 71 is complete. I mean, did that go, pretty good, or without a hitch with the company that was involved? I know they came in with a pretty good bid.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
I'd hate to say it came in with, it happened without a hitch. Nobody's here to know, to really specific on it. I just kind of got word through Tim and a couple of other ones that there was a few little hiccups that they had. I don't think they were pleased. We were pleased necessarily on the other side. Now, it's not finished. They've not come back out there to clean up. I recently went out there with Sonny and Hunter, I guess. We went out and visited with Mr. Angeloni. I think that's how you pronounce it again. Because as you know, we're sharing, our property lines are split with the driveway out there. And I wanted to make sure, it seemed to be that the contractor left that in a mess. Didn't seem to be they did. And part of it was on him, part of it was on us, and I went out to assure that gentleman that had nothing but trouble, as far as I think, but has been very patient with us, that we would take care of that. I think Sonny's just right, Mr. Angeloni, Mr. Angeloni is going to put a new tile in there to carry some water out. There's a lot of water still standing, And so he was gonna put a new tile, and I told him once he put the tile in to direct the water, we'd come back out and help him maintain that driveway. It's gonna need, obviously, because if the fire trucks are coming in and out of that for any time, it's gonna have to have that compaction, so I told him we would work with him on that. But as far as the actual boring, I never heard anything bad. I just think there was a couple of things, I don't know if anybody's even in the room. Dennis, do you know, seems like there was a couple of things that made them, their timeline was off. Are you familiar?
No, I'm not.
Okay. It's done.
The report says their initial pressure testing failed, but they got that fixed and tightened and they passed the retest.
Okay, maybe that's.
And then the dress up area you're talking about around the new fire hydrant and the wet conditions of the rains, the delay and all that.
Okay, is that on Tim's report, or?
That's on the wastewater commission.
Okay. I can testify that the hydrant's there, I've seen it.
The leak and the water that leaked out, the line flushing, and the rain is delaying the cleanup.
Okay. And that was before Christmas or not? I don't- So I haven't been back out there, and I don't know if have you got a call back from property owners? But they did their job, and it's in, and the hydrant's there, so. The reason I didn't want to say there wasn't any hiccups, so there might have been a little bit. And I do know the other projects, there's 2 projects that are pending that I signed off on that Jeremy has not picked up yet. One water, wastewater, nobody's here. Right, and that what's in my office or your office. So I guess they have yet, nobody's asked, but they have yet to begin on Bell Road yet. I know there's equipment, something's going on there. There's a hold up again.
Deadline on that.
Sorry?
Wasn't there a deadline on that?
There was, and I think it's passed, and I think so now, if I remember what Tim told me, it's been a week or 2 now that they're into that paying per day.
The contracting company's owner passed away.
Uh-huh.
They're giving the company extra time to start the work. The wife is taking over the operation.
Okay.
That's what his report.
They got equipment sitting there, but I don't think they dug a hole. yet.
Hope the project will start within the next 2 weeks.
What company is this?
I have no idea.
That is, it doesn't sound anything like what you'd think it.
Poultry, something.
Huh?
Something poultry.
Something poultry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, really? I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
Bond, right?
yeah.
I have to do that for you.
Is that for-
And I believe they are, and I may be wrong, but I believe they are already paying a daily fine. Don't quote me on that.
It says we are giving the company extra time to start the work, what the report says, the wastewater.
I guess I should have read that before
Well,
more verse.
we're here for you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I won't tell you what. Somebody else had to tell me we were already bored under the highway, and I'm like, what? That would have been good enough.
We got a veteran square over there, too.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that. I heard it's really nice. I'm digging up.
What about the hole in front of the Sonic Lodge? I don't know what, that's probably those guys do digging something up over there. Is that y'all?
AOG was over.
That was the gas
Yes.
station there.
Somebody asked me that.
Yeah, I asked the same thing, because I thought we were over there building a road already.
Yeah, I know, at least get that stretched done.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, anybody else? I know, Tom, I completely skipped you, Bob. You talked to me earlier. You want to verse it a little bit, or just kind of?
Just real quickly, did you all get the link to the economic development website we're working on for Charlotte? That, wanted y'all to look at that. It's under construction, obviously it's not open, it's not live. We hope to get it live by the end of the month. Some of it I was texting our computer guy while I was in the hospital on the happy stuff. Unfortunately, he ignored everything I told him. But just wanted your thoughts on it. If you see anything, you want to add anything, our plan is to try to get live by the end of the month. I have picked on some of our friends to write some of the articles that are going to go in there. But our first effort is to combine everything in one place so that stuff that's on the city site, our site, and other places will bring in AEDC stuff, just to have one stop for somebody that's looking on doing something next month. One of the good things that's going to happen is our Small Digital owns software that will allow us to put available commercial property onto that website. We get calls for it, I'm looking for a building or a site or whatever. And, you know, you may have to call 30 places, mayor, same way. You may have to call 20 different people. You got a place, well, who's got what? This will allow the realtors to have a password. They can go in and put stuff in there that's in Greenwood that's available. We'll monitor it, so it's only going to be for Greenwood. If our local realtor's got a site in the back of it, well, no, that ain't going on there. But we will look in the future at the potential of residential, but there's some real complications with residential. We all get, obviously, all get a lot of calls, people looking for a place to rent. It would be great if there was a central clearinghouse for that, but there are some problems with getting involved in renting. And some landlords don't want much publicity about it. They want to do it word of mouth for various reasons. Next thing we've got, we started on today. The website's our first project for this year. We started on today. We're creating a new Facebook page. I've actually got it registered and created. The name of it's going to be Greenwood, Feels Like Home. And those of y'all who use Facebook, you see a lot of negative, there's always something going on. We will administer this page and it will be nothing but positive. Its idea is to tell people this is a great place to live. So what we want to put on there, facts and positive things. We got a new Eagle Scout, we want to put that on there. School's got good stuff going on, we want to put that on there. We want to just talk about all these things that we feel that make this is where we want to live. Because economic development, bottom line for the city, is about getting more people living. So that's underway. I've got to get photographed. That's going to take me a month or two to get that really live and looking right. But that's the next thing up. Third thing that we're going to start talking about when we get the committee organized here, and we've got some new names. We're going to refresh it a little bit. As somebody said, the committee is a bunch of people who look like me and Doug. So we're going to have some fresh looking faces on there, I think. We're going to talk about doing a marketing campaign that actually go out and spend some conventional advertising dollars. I'm talking, call Freddie Williams and say, hey, we want to put together a campaign and do some actual advertising, not social media, but actual advertising, inviting people to live in Greenwood. That's probably a late spring, early summer project to get that put together. That's one of our next thoughts. Because as we talked about the census effort, what it's about, who lives here, how many people live here. If y'all have thoughts on that website, please send them to me, let me know what you think.
It looks like it's in Latin right now.
Yeah, and that's how you do when you're filling space, you don't actually have it, you fill it with gobbledygook if it's Latin. Because if you wrote a story that wasn't right, people go, well, I ain't right, so you just put gobbledygook in there.
I want to commend the chamber too on the side of the billboard in Fort Smith. I don't know how many there are.
That's A&P Commission.
Is that A&P?
Yeah, that's A&P.
Okay, I'll kudos to A&P. That's pretty awesome. I was driving down Rogers Avenue the other day and just glancing up, and the insignia, or Feels Like Home, just jumped off of that billboard at me. And I went as far as and turned around and come back and sat and take pictures. Of course, it's hard to take a picture something like that. It's all digital, but that's a good looking billboard. I didn't even know that existed.
AC's responsible.
Is AC responsible for that?
It's actually what goes in when there's not an event being advertised. They've got some stuff that just talks about Greenwood.
It's awesome. I mean,
We've had that for about 5 years now. Is that right, Charlotte?
The what?
that billboard?
Billboard?
No, this is
Not the digital one?
this is across from St. Edwards.
It's part of the
All those
Okay.
electronic.
Yeah, there's like 12 locations.
I've seen other ones with the trail lights and things like that, but I had not seen that with insignia and the whole, that was really cool.
That's a filler,
Yeah.
because we're not
Okay.
advertising anything.
Okay, well, that's a good
So
fellow.
we're paying for the space,
Gotcha.
so if we're not having a quilt show, because of COVID,
Just advertising the town.
we just advertise town.
Okay.
I noticed one of those Chappie Crossing home subdivisions uses that Feels Like Home logo. We didn't have that.
Yeah, we got a lawsuit.
Good.
I think Christie Phillips was initially, really responsible for getting that going, it's kind of connected with the Christmas, lights and down on the square and stuff like that.
It looked good. That logo just jumped out. I call it almost an accident turn into the picture.
You should see more of that, because the events of A&P are just not as
Right.
many everywhere.
On the good news front on that, because we've got to get calendar of event stuff published for the state. Most of our folks I've talked to so far, right now, they're planning on doing the 2021 events. Now, obviously, we know it can blow up on us, but just calling around everybody that's got dates set, and knock on wood, we'll have one of our events this year.
Council forum, kind of the same thing we're doing now. I'm not sure why we still have that. It is what it is. If there is nothing further, I do want to remind everybody, or I say remind everybody, to know where Lance is on the road tonight, or maybe there by now, taking his dad, Mr. Earl Terry, I'm sure his mom's with him, traveling down there for continued treatment of cancer. So remember that family in your prayers. And certainly, we touched on this a while ago, and, as fortunate as we are financially in the city of Greenwood, we don't want to, we just got to remember these folks that are dealing with this COVID. It's crazy. Who knows what's going to happen and who long, you know, it is what it is. So just, I want to thank everybody for doing their due diligence, wearing masks and doing what you're supposed to do, and we will get through this. But thank you all so very much for being here. Any other things before I would ask for a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
That's it.
Thank you. You are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Three chairs.
Are you? All right, we got to work that way. I was like, I see the chief asked them. Well, it was unusual. I don't know what to do with my life right now.